but they're nothing compared to this. A captured caiman and my fellow scientist Maria Munoz.
Whoa, 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 you alright? You alright? Oh. Oh.
Ramon!
Has it got your finger?
No, my hand.
Shh. I'm pulling it out. Pull it out, pull it out, pull it out. You okay? Here, in my pack. In my pack are some wipes, some antibacterial wipes. Ah! I'm on it.
There's a game being played. The game has no function but to harm and destroy pieces, to consume them, to grind them up. And that's all it does. And this is just one little horror. That's all. This is just one tiny fraction of the real life drama that happens out there all the time. So the fact that we are impressed by this beautiful solar system and this magnificent universe and the whole idea of infinity and you know, whatever, and beautiful tiger stripes, and see all this great symmetry. Well, there's, you know, for every tiger stripe there's a fly laying eggs, you know, in a wildebeest's nose, and the maggots are going to eat its brain. There's nothing incredibly brilliant in that. The imagination of nature in that instance really sucks. Okay? I mean, the invention of the AIDS virus wasn't exactly one of nature's most brilliant fucking moments. I'm not going to give it glowing reviews for coming up with such a great idea. Okay? It's shit. Nature is shit. can't even, take the 5 minutes it takes to reflect on our existence, take a look at the maze we are caught in, and assess it rationally and fairly, and realize that yes, it's a piece of shit, and if we don't fix it, we got no business perpetuating it. We got no business injecting new victims into this fucking insane maze rat racy bullshit. Well, this is fucked-hearted, alright? This is stupid, this is idiotic, because the price we pay for it is preposterously high. The suffering and the hardship and the agony and the rest of it is just obscene. I mean, doesn't mean anything somehow. Somehow it's not something we can even put into our brains and acknowledge the existence of, because we can't even accept a few minutes of it or a few hours of it in one individual. And then you multiply that by millions of sentient creatures falling into all sorts of traps every day and all sorts of trauma. And to not be at least paused by it, at least to have some realization of this price hit you in the face and say, whoa, I just don't think that's asking too much from human beings, intelligent human beings. Unfortunately, I think if they really think about it and they go past pause, it's going to get kind of dark, because that's the fact of our existence. This is a bit of a trap we're in. Life is in a trap. Conscious sentient creatures are caught up in a game of life that is not well constructed.
When you look at the elegance of the apparent design of, say, a cheetah or a lion and the antelopes that they're hunting, if God has designed both of those, then God has designed the lion to be an extremely good antelope killer, and at the same time God has designed the antelopes to be extremely good lion escaper. And you sort of wonder, well, whose side is God on? Why doesn't he make one side or the other win? Nature is very, very cruel. It's exactly what you would expect if there were no God. You would expect nature to be cruel, because you would expect that antelopes and lions, cats and mice, dogs and rabbits would be the end products of a long evolutionary arms race in which each one in evolutionary time is pressing the other one, just like the arms race between the Russians and the Americans. Each advance on the predator side is countered by an advance on the prey side, so that the end product of the arms race is that both the lions and the antelopes are very, very good at what they do. The lions are extremely good at chasing antelopes. The antelopes are extremely good at escaping from lions. The result is extreme cruelty, extreme pain, extreme fear. And it's precisely what you'd expect if it had come about through evolution.
Which strike people down, cause them to suffer, cause them to die, sometimes horrible, agonizing deaths, drawn-out deaths, or cause them to live in unspeakable afflictions, agony, constantly hungry or thirsty because of a drought, perhaps, that has caused crops to fail. And we can't explain that in terms of free will. It has nothing to do with free will. Nor can we explain it in terms of saying that we are fallen, as Christians tend to say, and therefore none of us are innocent. Because even if you believe that, and let me say, I think it would be a totally monstrous doctrine to believe that God would create a world in which, let's say, a 2-year-old child would die a slow and lingering death from hunger and thirst because that baby's alleged ancestor ancestors, Adam and Eve, sinned. Again, I would think that would be a monstrous God who could make a baby suffer for that reason. But even if you still think that, even if you still think that the suffering of that baby is somehow deserved because of original sin, what about the suffering of non-human animals? They also die slow, miserable deaths through droughts or hunger or disease or a variety of other causes. And not even Christians believe that they suffer from original sin. They're not descended from Adam. And that suffering has been going on even longer than human suffering, because they've been sentient beings, sentient animals, for even longer. I think it's inexplicable on the Christian account of the world that animals should suffer in those ways. And I have to say, I could not possibly worship, I could not possibly revere a God who did that. If somehow it were proved to me that there is such a God, an all-powerful God, my attitude would have to be one of contempt and defiance, whatever it cost me. I think I would not have any integrity if I worshipped such a God simply because he was all-powerful when he was such a monster.
If you use the argument from design, which I think is a discredited argument, if you looked for the evidence of a creator from design, you'd have an easier time proving the existence of Satan than you would of a divine and benevolent and all-loving God. It'd be far easier to say that this was designed by someone with an extremely unpleasant sense of humor. I don't like it. The argument from design naturally will teach it. Will teach that the devil made the world. The evidence is all around us. Are you happy now? Not really. These people are total strangers to any concept of intellectual honesty.